Good afternoon and welcome along to the latest edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, #1 tennis betting podcast and YouTube show with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I am your host, Nigel Seeley. I'm delighted to say joining me to look ahead to tomorrow's action in Miami at the Miami Open. It's our senior ATP Tour handicapper, Sean Calvert. Good morning or good afternoon to you, Sean.
Good afternoon.
How are things? Good?
Yeah, I think they're all right, yeah.
Perfect. Bit of a mixed start to the tournament here in Miami.
Well, it wasn't the best selection of first round matches, was it? As I said on the show I was going to say Sunday, but it wasn't Sunday, was it? It was Wednesday. I get confused with these Wednesday starts. It throws you out a little bit, especially when you've been to the States and you're working from a day behind and ahead. Anyway, whatever day it was, I did say that there were very, very tricky round one matches. As it turns out, I probably picked the wrong one in hindsight. You know, Arnaldi won easy, didn't he? He was underdog against Artur Fils, but Kotov was, I don't know whether you saw the match, but he was absolutely awful against Van Aschen. Van Aschen didn't even play that well. Kotov was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. But there you go. You know, you can only point out the value, the statistical value, if it's there. You know, the rest is obviously out of my control. But yeah, not great.
If you look at our record in 2024, it's pretty much a mirror of 2023. You know, we were struggling going into the clay court season. This time last year, we were talking about sticking with it and the processes of going through bad runs, and then all of a sudden we got Rublev home at Monte Carlo, and things sort of went on an upwards trajectory.
Yeah, the outrights have been tricky this season so far. Match bets have been all right, I think, generally.
Yeah, they've been good, but it's more or less pretty much the same if you look at it. And then I think we had two big winners on the spin, and sort of suddenly we were sort of betting with the bookies' money rather than their own money. So we had nothing to lose, had a free swing at it going into the final weeks of the season. But yeah, it does happen. Like, we've spoken this before last year. If you're new to the channel this year, and obviously go through a little bit of bad runs on the outright markets, but you know we do fire a couple of winners every year. We have done for many years. So stick with the process and just bet accordingly is the rule what you do here. Just before we go on to tomorrow's matches, it's the second round in Miami. It's the time where the players who won the first round have had a game under their belt, and they play the seeded players. So it's an unseeded player. It's the time the seeds now appear at Miami, and I am flying to Miami tomorrow morning, and I'll be there tomorrow afternoon. Actually, late afternoon I arrive. And I've been glued to the weather conditions, and
great, is it?
It's not looking good. It's not looking good for me tomorrow and Saturday, I must admit.
Yeah, I don't know whether you look at the same weather forecast, but I imagine they're all pretty similar. It says this morning when I checked, because we're about to talk about Friday's matches, aren't we? I think it said 60 millimeters of rain, which is about 2 and a bit inches in old money, isn't it? Of rain on the Friday, that's quite a lot, isn't it? Obviously, that's spread out throughout the entire 24 hours, but it looks like a complete washout on Friday, and Saturday I think is in the lap of the gods, isn't it? Because it's thunderstorms. It just depends on where it hits. So, but yeah, what time do you arrive? Did you say on Friday?
I think I arrive literally the minute the rain starts. I arrive about 3:30 in the afternoon, Miami.
Well, it should already be raining by then. So
yeah, but I looked at the way I'm there.
It's only 24 hours. You'd be fine. After that,
I'm there. Some weather forecast you look at. I'm there from Friday to the following Thursday, and it looked like it was going to be cloudy and overcast and rain pretty much every single day I was there, and beautiful on the Friday. That was what it's sort of changing as we speak. So hopefully we don't get too much bad.
I think you'll be all right. Yeah, I think you'll be all right. I think it's just that Friday and Saturday that this is the problem, which I'm about to come on to actually, because we're talking about matches that are scheduled for Friday. You know, and if that forecast is accurate, that throws another layer in, because, for example, if you're betting on a player who had a really, really tough round one match, and you're thinking, well, he's going to be fatigued for the next round. Well, not really, because he might not play it until Sunday. So that throws an extra element of confusion in there as well. But anyway, yeah, hopefully that'll just be Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, England are playing Brazil on Saturday, so we'll just find a bar and go and watch that, and then we'll be fine. And then we're back. We're at the tennis on Tuesday. I think we're at tennis Monday and Wednesday, so 2 days.
Should be all right by then. Yeah,
I think we should be all right.
Yeah, be all right.
Talking about players who struggled in the first round, this brings us nicely on to the first match we're going to talk about here. And there's 4 matches we're going to speak about. These are second round matches. I say they're scheduled for tomorrow, 12 p.m. start. We have to check the Bet Rivers website to see where the order play is announced, but at the moment it's up in the lap of the gods, really. 12 p.m. start. I can't see him starting at that time, but if it does, Andy Murray is up against Tomas Martin Etcheverry, the Argentinian. And Andy Murray must be absolutely exhausted after his win against Berrettini. Lost the first set, come back in a bit of an epic there. Murray, surprisingly for me, is the favourite here. I mean, I'm very surprised. -148, Etcheverry's +118. We'll come on to the head-to-heads in a minute. The spread is 1.5. 1.5 start for the Argentinian, -110. Murray giving up the 1.5 on the spread is -115, and the total here is 22.5. But this is a prime example of the scheduling is so important for this match.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this Murray match numerous times. I watched it live last night against Berrettini. It's on again now. I've seen it about 4 times. It's so I know everything that happened in that Murray Berrettini match, and you would have to say Murray was a little bit fortunate with Berrettini. He almost fainted at one point, didn't he? Kind of went very unsteady on his feet, and then sort of collapsed onto his racket, and then the doctor out and all this sort of stuff. And even then, it took Murray 2 hours and 48 minutes to get the win. Even when he was a break up in the third set against a very unwell Berrettini, he still almost handed the break back. But if Etcheverry is in the right condition after the hamstring injury that's kept him out for the last month, he could be some value here. You know, if you look at their head-to-head, it does favour Etcheverry 103-97 in terms of service points won and return points won totals. And the last 12 months on outdoor hard at main level, it's slightly to Etcheverry as well. 100 total on service points won and return points won totals, and also 100 on his whole break total. Andy Murray, pretty much the same. 100 on his service points won and return points won total, but only 96 on his hold and break total. Now, if you look at what Andy Murray's done recently, I've compared it to what he did in his what I would call his heyday between 2009 and 2016. Now, at the minute, Murray's only breaking serves 16% of the time, which is sort of Vukic levels of returning. It is almost exactly Vukic's level, actually, which is miles behind his glory days. Between 2009 and 2016, he broke serve, Murray, 34% of the time on outdoor hard. Now he's breaking 16%, less than half the time he's breaking serve. And again, even against Berrettini last night, I think he had 11 break chances and took maybe 2 or 3. So if I was certain that this match was being played on Friday, which I don't think it's going to be, I'd be taking Etcheverry. If you also look at what Murray's done in his last 2 years against top 30 ranked opposition, Etcheverry is ranked number 30, I think. His record is 6 wins, 21 losses. So he's got a win rate of 22%. And we're asking, and he got absolutely beaten very heavily by Etcheverry at Australian Open, didn't he? I know that was one of Murray's worst performances. I know that was perhaps that match may even have been the line in the sand when Murray's thought, you know what, this is going to be my last season. That may have been the case because it was such a bad performance. I know a lot of people will remember that. Etcheverry was underdog for that, around about +119, just looking at my stats there. You know, Etcheverry's not played for a month since a hamstring injury that he got, I think, in Rio, certainly on the Golden Swing anyway. But if he's fit, I don't know how you can back Murray at that price. I mean, if I could be certain this match had been played on the Friday, I'd be on Etcheverry here.
I think it'd be a maximum bet if it was going to be played tomorrow. Obviously, the conditions would suit Etcheverry as well. Probably be a little bit slower with the cloudy and damp conditions. Murray here, -148. I couldn't back Murray with anyone's money, especially after I saw him firsthand in Dubai in that match against Umber. He was just a shadow of the man he was before.
He can't do the things that he used to do.
No, really. I mean, where is he? He's in the current rankings, 62 in the world, but I think probably lower than that. Etcheverry,
62, yeah.
30 in the world, 32 ranking places, spots higher than him. Won the last 2 meetings between the two of them. As you said, Australian Open 6-4, 6-2, 6-2. When in Basel, lost the first set 6-7 and then come back 6-3, 6-2. I think this is the wrong favourite. I personally believe that. I think that the timing is.
The problem is Etcheverry's fitness, isn't it?
Well, that is the key.
He hasn't played that. That's why I think if he was fit, it would either be a pick-em or maybe Etcheverry slight favourite. I think they're just saying that he's not played since the quarterfinals, which I think was Rio, which was the 16th of February. So it's over a month, and that's you're kind of guessing whether he's a hamstring injury. Is he fit? You know, we don't really know. I think that's the only reason that price is how it is. If I could be sure it was being played on the Friday, and I was reasonably sort of sure-ish that Etcheverry was fit, I'd certainly have a bet on that. But those 2 factors just put me off a little bit.
Yeah, as Sean said, Etcheverry hasn't played for a month. He got to the quarterfinals in Cordoba, and then he got to the quarterfinals in Buenos Aires. Was the last
Buenos
time he
Aires, was
played.
it? Okay.
Yeah, he did. That's the last time he
I
played.
knew it was
But
one of them.
Andy Murray, I mean, at the moment, and there is starting to be some support for Etcheverry. The plus 118 currently with Bet Rivers is the best price in the land. I do not believe that will start that price when these two matches, if these players do start. I mean, it could start Sunday, but I'd be amazed if the plus 118 is still the price. So I think if you want to get with the market move, Etcheverry is definitely the price. Whether you want to you want to get the closing line value, Etcheverry is definitely the move here. When the match gets played, we don't know, but the conditions might change. But definitely the plus 118 is under pressure. It's the best price in the land, and I don't think it will last. So that is a very interesting match. It's the first. Well, we don't know who will play yet, but it's scheduled to start at 12 p.m. tomorrow. But it's very doubtful with this bad weather that's predicted in southern Florida. We move on to another match we're going to speak about. It's another match involving the Brit, actually, here. It's Jack Draper. I mean, he's talking about injuries and someone whose body breaks down. Jack Draper is one of the... He's an injury prone.
He's the top of your list, isn't he?
He's the most injury prone player in the world at the moment, but on his day, he's exceptional. He's up against Nicolas Jarry, the Chilean. Draper here, though, is a rather heavy favourite, which does surprise me, considering that he's up against a player who is a lot higher than him in his world rankings. Draper is a heavy favourite, minus 240. I mean, that to me just seems very, very high. Jarry is plus 188. Jarry would like the conditions here. I don't think he's usually good at altitude, but I don't think he's going to be too worried about the conditions. The spread is 2.5. Jarry receiving 2.5 plus 104. And as normal with Jarry matches, whenever he does play, the totals are usually quite high. 23.5 is the line that Bet Rivers are making you pay. And if you want to go over, it's minus 104. These two have never met before, but Draper come through a decent win against Tara Daniel in the opening round without dropping a set. Reached a semi-final in Acapulco as well, where he got injured again against Alex de Minaur. Jarry's not in the best of form, only one win in 5, but Jack Draper minus 240. Am I missing something here?
It's just on the stats, I think. Their serving stats are pretty similar, but the return game of Draper is much, much better. So on the stats, you can sort of see why he's edging towards that price. I certainly wouldn't back him at that price. The bet I like here is the set one overs, given that the way that these guys both serve and the conditions that it's being played in. I don't think these conditions are actually ideal for Jarry. I think it's just it's not a high bouncing enough. He prefers very, very tall guy, prefers a high bounce. I'm not sold on him on courts that don't bounce particularly well, but particularly high, should I say. But his serve is still going to be a major weapon here. And there's a definite trend as far as Jarry's concerned against left-handers such as Draper. At main level, Nicolas Jarry against left-handers on hard courts, he's played 9 matches. He's won 5 of them, so he's 5-4 win-loss. But the opening set has gone to either 12 or 13 games 6 times out of those 9 matches, and the other 3 went to 10 games. So he's got a very obvious and serious trend of playing long matches in his long sets, long opening sets against left-handers. And he's played an average of 1 tie-break per match against left-handers at main level on hard courts. So he has his return game isn't the best anyway, Jarry, but it certainly isn't the best against left-handers, or it hasn't been so far in his career. Just looking at their serves, they're very, very similar in terms of the stats. Both men have won either 77 or 78% of first serve points on outdoor hard in the past 12 months. Both have held serve 85% of the time. And the fact that the pair have never faced each other, it leads me to believe that it will take both of them a little while to kind of get a read on the other person's serve. So given that the conditions are quick as well, I think if you're betting in this one, the over 10.5 games in set 1, when I looked earlier, it was a plus 175 chance of Bet Rivers. That looks the play if you're having a wager in that one.
It's slightly gone. That plus 175 is now plus 155. Still a bet?
I think that's the bet, yeah. I mean, it's obviously not quite as appealing, but I still think there's some pretty solid evidence to suggest that an opening set is tiebreak is or overs is likely. The only problem is, obviously, with all these matches, if they do this thing where they try and get the matches on, and then it comes on and off and on and off, that disrupts the rhythm, which is not really ideal. So it's not an ideal betting day, but assuming that let's say that the play is cancelled on Friday and you've got a clear day, then I would like that bet a bit more, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to bet a little bit more extravagant, go over 12.5 at plus 235, and a tiebreak in the match is minus 105. So 36 different markets available Bet Rivers on that match. As I said, I keep saying it, you will not find a better array of tennis markets and any other sports book across America than you will find with Bet Rivers. And they've got a special as well on the Sunshine Double. During the Sunshine Double, Bet Rivers is offering a tennis net gains parlay profit boost. Each day you can receive a profit boost of 25% or more for a tennis parlay wager of 3 legs or more. See the Bet Rivers app for full details. There's a whole host of tennis matches, not only on the men's draw, but also on the women's draw as well. And I'm sure you'll be able to find a nice parlay there, 3 legs or more, and get a boost of up to 25%. So a great offer with Bet Rivers on the parlay boost. Moving on, we move to Andrey Rublev. We mentioned him earlier. He was the man who won for us at a nice price over in Monte Carlo. He's up against an up-and-coming player, Tomas Machac, the Czech star. Rublev is minus $4. Machac is plus 295. The spread is 3.5, minus 141 for Rublev, plus 110 for Machac, receiving the 3.5. The total here is 22.5. These two, again, have never met before. Rublev comes in with a very impressive 13-4 record on hard court. He got beat by the Czech in his last round. Rublev got beat by Lehecka. And will his Czech bounce again when he plays Machac? Prior to that, got to the semi-finals with Dubai, who's defaulted against Bublik. Crazy match. And he's done well, Rublev. Quarterfinals of pretty much most tournaments he's played this year. Looking good on the hard courts. But he's a heavy favourite here at minus $4 against a very talented opponent.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a trend here with Rublev. It's something I've noticed over the last sort of year, or so probably a bit less than a year, but he's often an extremely slow, nervy starter to his first set of his first match of a tournament. And I took a look into this because I like to find these opportunities where they exist. And I just wondered if the aggressive approach of Machac, it could continue this particular trend that Rublev has found himself in. So 13 of his last 14 opening sets in his first match at a tournament, Rublev, have gone to at least 10 games. And 7 of those 14 have gone to at least 12 games, including the last time he played here at Miami. His opening round first set went to a tiebreak against Jeff Wolf, I think it was. So 50% of his opening sets have gone over 10.5 games, but the layers are saying there's only around about a 34% chance of this happening again, because when I looked earlier, the odds were 2.95 plus 195 of the set one of this match going over 10.5 games. I don't know whether that price is still there. Hopefully it is. But this is a very understandable trend of Rublev's. He's quite honest, Rublev. He does tell you a lot about himself. And he does say he starts nervously. I think he's going to be, he just lacks that 100% self-belief, I think. And I think probably took a knock as well, being so easily beaten by Lehecka at his own game in Indian Wells. Machac can play a similar type of game. If we look at what Mahac's done against top 10 opponents, he's taken a set in 4 of the 6 matches he's played against top 10 opponents. And that includes the likes of Djokovic, Ruud, and Tsitsipas. He's taken sets off all those guys. So he does have the game to trouble Rublev. I just don't like this price on Rublev, but I'm not sure I can see Machac winning over the course of the whole match. But I can certainly see him taking the opening set to pass the overs mark, or at least this is certainly a value price for him to do so.
Over 10.5 games is plus 215 for set 1. If you want to go for a tiebreak, it's plus 340.
That's even bigger then, isn't it? It was plus 1. Yes, that's better. Okay, great. That's even better. That'll be an official play for me. I think that's excellent value.
Over 9, if you want to play that, be a little bit safer, it's minus 141. Remember to go to the Bet Rivers website, move the little toggle along. So total set games, you can play all the different markets and all the different lines on the total. So 10.5 has got bigger, plus 215. That's an official pick from Sean for tomorrow. Rublev against Machac, over 10.5 games in set number 1, plus 215. The other 2, we're not playing. They're just tentative leans, are they, with the scheduling?
I wouldn't say tentative. I mean, the Murray one I do like, but just the fact that he's not going to play on the Friday is really off-putting. I mean, if the weather somehow miraculously changes and he plays on Friday, then I'd definitely be involved in that bet. Yeah, the other one's quite decent as well. It's I don't want to have 4 though. That could go, especially on a day like we're likely to have, when the weather could interrupt absolutely everything. But so I've narrowed it down to the 2 that I like the most, which I don't always get right, incidentally. But yeah, that's the first one, the Rublev one. Yeah.
Our final match is a bet that Sean is going to have an official pick on. So I'm intrigued to find out what he has to say about this one, because this looks a difficult puzzle to solve. We have Stefanos Tsitsipas up against Denis Shapovalov. Obviously, these two players go back, how many years ago? We say 4 or 5 years ago, these two will be playing in quarterfinals and majors, not in the second round of a tournament like this, when one of them's had to come through round one as well. Shapovalov has had some terrible form, terrible run of injuries, and he's up against Stefanos Tsitsipas, who looks a little bit disillusioned with the game here. Minus 230 for Tsitsipas, plus 180 for Shapovalov. The spread is 2.5, plus 2.5. Shapovalov is plus 102. Stefanos is a heavy favourite on that market, minus 130. And the total, like the Jarry match, is high at 23.5, with over a minus, over's even money actually. It was minus 110. It's now moved to even money. So there has been a bit of money for the under 23.5. If you look at these two, they're no strangers to each other's games. They played 5 times before. And it's Shapovalov who leads 3-2 in the head-to-heads. But some of them were back in 2018 and 2019. You know, the game's changed. A very different player from them. The most relevant one really is their last meeting in Barcelona in 2023, where Tsitsipas won 6-3, 6-2. But if you look at Shapovalov this year on hard, only 2 wins from his 6 matches. He's a man who dropped outside the top 100. But there has been a little bit of money for him in the build-up for this match. And the money continues to come. Plus 180 now with Bet Rivers, which I believe is not far off the best. What it is, it's the best price in the land. What do you think about that?
I think Shapovalov's worth a bet here. It might be one that I advise you to watch from behind the sofa with Shapovalov, the way that he plays, all the double faults and the sort of feast or famine style that he has. But I just don't think these conditions will suit Tsitsipas, and I feel like Shapovalov's got the game to expose the frailties that Tsitsipas does have on a quick court. Last year, Tsitsipas dropped a set to Garin and then lost in straight sets to Khachanov. I just feel like if Shapovalov is in one of his good days, and you never know whether he's going to be or not, he really can rush that single-handed backhand of Tsitsipas. Big serve, big forehand, really rush that backhand. And we saw if Tsitsipas isn't 100% better than he was against Lehecka, you know, he could be beaten here, certainly, for my money. If you look at their head-to-head, I know it's a little while ago, but I think it's a matchup thing. I just think that Shapovalov, with that the aggressive left-handed style that he has, he can on a quick court especially, he can prey on that Tsitsipas backhand. Away from clay, the head-to-head, Shapovalov's won all 4 of them. He also won their 2 matches in juniors, by the way, one on clay and one on grass. So he certainly had the call over Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas was number 1 seed in both those junior matches, by the way, and Shapo won both of them. So the service points won and return points won in the 4 matches away from clay. Shapovalov 103, Tsitsipas 97. So he's been I wouldn't say dominant, but a decent winner away from clay. But he did also beat him on clay as well. I think that might have been the French Open juniors. But anyway, Shapovalov's held serve 92% of the time against Tsitsipas on all surfaces apart from clay. As I said, Tsitsipas comes in here with pretty awful form. I mean, he was so bad against Lehecka. It wasn't the fact that he was bad that kind of struck me. It was the fact that he didn't look bothered that he was that bad. It was real, nothing performance. If you look at the last 12 months at main level away from clay, there isn't much in it at all in terms of service points won and return points won totals, even though Shapovalov's had an awful year with injuries and getting back to form. Tsitsipas' service points won and return points won totals 103, which is some way down on his peak years. And Shapovalov's 101, so there's only 2 points in it, and that's after a terrible year. I'm sure it'll be a rough ride with Shapovalov. I'm sure he'll delight and despair in equal measures like he normally does. But on a quick court, this matchup, I feel like he's got a decent chance to win. So I'm not surprised the money line's been nibbled at, because if you're backing Tsitsipas at minus $2, less than minus $2 in the form that he's in currently, I think that's the road to the poorhouse, I think.
Yeah, he was very poor, wasn't he, against Lehecka in the last round? Really disinterested. It's been like that for a year and a half now for Tsitsipas. He's got to change his game, because otherwise he's going to drop out the top 10 very quickly. And he is out of the top 11 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So player that, everyone was expecting to make that breakthrough, got to Grand Slam finals, but he looks as though he's got to change something in his game and change it quickly. Shapovalov, plus 180 is a bet that is being nibbled at in the market. And they have met here in Miami in 2019 where Shapovalov won. So the omens are good for the Canadian
as well, yeah.
Yeah, the omens are quite good for Shapovalov here, and Tsitsipas is definitely worth a fade as far as we are concerned. I say there's 4 matches. We've got a strong lean for Murray. So Etcheverry, against Murray at plus 118. But obviously the scheduling there is putting us off. Jarry, Draper, we expect a tight first set. Look for the overs, 10.5. Maybe even go for a tiebreak if you feel a little bit more braver. Our official pick on Rublev v Machac is over 10.5 games in set number 1 at plus 215. And Shapovalov v Tsitsipas, we're going to go with official pick on Shapovalov at plus 180 on the money line. So they are Sean's 2 plays for tomorrow, probably more likely Sunday, but they are scheduled for tomorrow. Check the Bet Rivers website. Make sure you check the weather forecast as well to see what the weather is going to be like. I'll be on the court tomorrow. I'll be in Miami tomorrow. I'll be on the court in the next week or so, a couple of days at the tennis. You can follow all my adventures in Miami on our Instagram account. Please give that a follow at Because We Win, and also on our Twitter page at Because We Win as well. Subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. Thanks very much for everyone who is subscribed to that. Please answer any questions you have. If you're in Miami, come and say hello. Come and have a beer. Come and let's watch some tennis together, and hopefully we can cash some tickets together. Let us know if you're there. I'll be more than happy to
Drake again this year.
Sorry?
You're going to see Drake again this year? Or is he not around this time?
He's not around. I messaged him. I messaged him. He said he's not around. No,
okay.
I'm going to the basketball. I'm going to go a couple of days at the basketball. So they may stick me at the front now because of this show. I might become the famous people. You'll
be on the TV, won't you? We'll be able to see it. Miami Heat. Who are they playing?
We're going to see the Cavaliers. Miami Heat with the Cavaliers. Don't ask me who the Cavaliers are.
I was going to say who are the Cavaliers. I never heard
and I do know the next one is the Golden State Warriors because that's my son's team. He wants to see Steph Curry.
As well.
Steph Curry.
Lagan likes them, even though he's never seen a basketball match in his entire life. For some reason, he likes the Golden State Warriors. I don't know why.
Well, I'll bring you a baseball cap back, but we can't post it, yeah? You have to come around and pick it up.
All the way to your house?
Yeah, well, the post is no good, is it? Anyway, you've changed. Also, we have to subscribe. Sorry, where was I? We've got to download the Betting Weekly podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match on your preferred podcast provider as well. So make sure you download. There's 3 ways to follow us there. But make sure you give us a follow on that Instagram page. Growing there, lots of fun. We'll be on there. Lots of exclusive content at the tennis as well. Be on that Instagram page and on our Twitter. Sean, have a good day. We will catch up with you probably, hopefully Sunday. That's all right. Sunday, maybe Sunday morning. We'll see what happens. But we'll be back with one more final one for this week, and then we'll come back when I'm over stateside. So the next time you'll see me, I will be in the hotel doing this very nice and early while I get some sleep. But take care and good luck with your picks for tomorrow. But chances are you'll be holding them tickets until Monday morning. Take care.